Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. You think about it, we rant about it. Listen to us live on Facebook.
What a great day! It's Monday, sunny skies in South Florida, and close to 80 degrees. Not a cloud in the sky. I don't know. What's it like up there, David, in the far, far reaches of the northern hemisphere?
Yeah, because we're like 1 minute below the south, the North Pole, right? No, up here we're
Pretty
actually,
close.
yeah, well, I don't know about, yeah, closer than you, but we're about 50 degrees today, so it's all spring is in the air.
Spring is in the air. But the biggest problem with springs in the air? There are a lot of like really, 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 really dumb people in the world. And I think that's what we sort of try and show and demonstrate how silly, stupid people can be, whether they're deniers of facts or like to use other facts. But the media, Walter Cronkite always said, and we talked about Walter Cronkite months and months ago, that there's no such thing as good media unless you properly demonstrate both sides. And we've argued and debated. Actually, we haven't really argued, but we've debated that the current media doesn't want to, show the other side. And the richest guy in the world, Elon Musk, is finally frustrated, right? And when you take the richest guy in the world and you piss him off, there's a guy named Jack Dorsey that I think is going to
Dorsey,
suffer.
Dorsey,
Dorsey,
and he's out,
Dorsey.
and
Yeah,
he's out,
Dorsey.
and he's out. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yep, yep. And it still moves. Like the corporation of Twitter is really what we're starting about. David, why don't you jump in on that one?
Look, Stuart, the problem, the thing is this, over the weekend, it's fascinating to watch how the slap heard around America continues to, be all over the news. It's part of the news cycle, because, hey, let's be realistic. Will Smith is like, he's more important than the Ukraine. And then we see, how other media handle over the Sunday talk shows. They talk about, oh crap, there's a midterm election happening in 7 months in the United States. And Stuart, the overwhelming prevailing feeling of these on these liberal loving channels is that democracy is at stake. These are the words that were used during these talk shows. Democracy is in peril because the Democrats are likely to lose the election in November. Now, when you make statements like that democracy is in peril because the American population is voting against the Democrats, you say that often enough, you're influencing people the wrong way. It's fascinating. Even to the point where Andrea Mitchell of NBC, whom I told you earlier today, I had respect for Andrea Mitchell. I've lost it for almost every reporter at NBC because they're so blatant with their love for the Democrats that she even so far as to say she can't understand how the Ukraine war doesn't help the Democrats in November. Like, what in God's name is wrong with you? Now, the accusation at Fox is they love Trump. They're a Trumpian voice box. They love the Republican Party, and they're blatant about it. But have you paid attention to CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, you name it? No. And so, therefore, the problem we have, of course, is the message is controlled. And therefore, the message, the way it's delivered, is a problem. But we have another medium, social media, as you know, Stuart, and you brought it up. Elon Musk has had enough with Twitter. Elon Musk is almost a 1/10 owner of Twitter. And why is he upset? Because free speech is at stake here. What do we mean by that? How do you take off the president of the United States, Donald Trump? Whether you like him or not, I could care less. Frankly, I don't really care how much you like Trump or not. And then you proceeded to keep dictators, terrorists on your Twitter feed. Okay? You proceeded to keep those that are willing to post false narratives to the left, But anyone you allege that is on the right is a little bit, off kilter. Look, you can say what you want about several Republican or conservative commentators, but a guy like Ben Shapiro, I love Ben Shapiro, but when someone calls him a Nazi, I find that hilarious. Okay, and because they call him a Nazi, Facebook doesn't want him there.
David, let's start off. The Democrats will always lead with, we're very inclusive so long as you agree with me.
Stuart,
and when you don't agree with me,
Stuart, think about it. This was not the inclusive party, though. There's still a bunch of racists, for Pete's sake.
You're not. Listen, let me continue my thought.
By all means.
The DNC says we're the party of inclusion so long as you agree with me and while you agree with me. And when you don't, you're one of them. And them has been described by the Clintons, right? Has been described by the Obamas, have been described by the Bidens, and everyone else in between as the deplorables. Now, let me tell you, you're right. There are extremes on the right and there are extremes on the left. But there's far more centrists on the right than exist on the left in the entire base. Now you're trying to find a party that's grasping at straws. I actually spent last night listening and watching the Grammys. You know what? Very little politics except self-righteous people that say they're with the Ukrainians. However, their party that they so-called represent is clearly not. By withholding critical arms, critical aid, and lying to the American people that it's been sent. And, they cut off people. Remember the Biden botched laptop story? That was a hoax. Twitter barred people, deleted. We're not talking Facebook. We're talking Twitter. If you even put in your Twitter feed that those Biden laptops existed, you were cut off for 7 days. David, I think we were cut off for 7 days by Twitter.
Well, we're cut off by YouTube. We were cut off by YouTube because we talked about masks. And you see, the problem, which it's whoever controls the medium is controlling the message. And this is the problem which we have right now, is once again, you see what happens in the Ukraine, and it's funny, you go watch, like you said, go watch any of the shows. And all of a sudden, it went from the story being very common between all of the networks to suddenly, well, how does that impact Mr. Biden? How does that impact the Democrats' chances of winning an election? People are dying in the Ukraine, and we're worrying about an election in the United States. Okay, but controlling the message, interviewing Zelensky, not to help him to get weapons, but to help him to ensure that Biden gets reelected. And we've seen him, and listen, he interviewed on Fox and he interviewed on CBS on Sunday, and he's interviewed in a bunch of places. And you listen to the questioning, and the questioning, it's Zelensky's being manipulated. And it's an amazing thing. He's a smart guy, and he knows he's got to appeal to the American population. And it's funny how the questioning is leading Zelensky to helping the Dems or not in November. This makes, this is the wrong game. You're playing with 40 million lives to make sure that your president is elected. By contrast, and look at social media. The Trump is trying to get his social media platform on, and they're tearing him apart. Okay, any which way they can. They're spinning it every which way they can to make him, the Republicans, conservatives, look bad, that everything they do is bad. They are just racists. The democracy is in peril. That was the statement used this weekend numerous times without shame. And
listen. They constantly say You should be thinking about inclusion, David. You should include people. Why are you so anti?
Well,
And when you go to exactly, and when you go to someone on the left and say, "Oh, but that guy is because he's a Nazi." The Democrats use the word Nazi so often. I wonder if any of them even know what the term Nazi meant.
Forget about. I mean, not even the term. Not even the term. It's like it's a good soundbite, okay? Because Nazi is a right-wing extremist. So everybody who is on the right must
but I
be
don't
Nazi.
agree. Yeah, but you know what? But all the guys on the left, I think it's time we start exposing these politicians that owned tobacco fields, farms, family were slave owners. I think it's time we outed the real Pelosi. I think it's time we knew.
But that's not changing. No, but that doesn't change the media. The media right now being controlled by large corporations. Think about it, Stuart.
That's a whole new topic.
Okay?
What does a corporation belong in politics?
Stuart,
we talked about this. The CEO of Disney should resign. And I think the actual owners, the shareholders of Disney, are going to start to ask for his resignation for using this corporation as a platform for the left, because it's just not.
But hold on. But that's it. Who owns ABC? It's Disney. When ESPN, and we ranted about this a few months ago, when ESPN is asking political questions to athletes because they saw that generates viewers, that's pathetic. This is pathetic. Okay, ESPN should not be, and that's why they were losing viewers. And the same thing is happening on mainstream media. They're sick and tired of being led astray. But unfortunately, there is an entire population out there that is taking this at verbatim and has no issue that the right conservatives should not have a voice. It is fascinating. I love this line. The whole they fact checked Hunter Biden, and that they found no wrongdoing. So my question is, what fact checkers did you use? How old were they?
What facts did you check? What facts did you check? Yes, I fact checked Hunter Biden. He was born on such and such date to the mother and father of such and such. I fact checked Hunter Biden, and I think all the information that we have is right. This goes back to my initial statement, right? The facts that they want to use are based off the narrative they want to run with, not the overall facts of the story.
Hunter Biden's story was buried in 2020, and the admission from high-level executives in the news group where we didn't want Trump to win, we buried the Hunter Biden story. We're here a year and a half to almost 2 years later. It resurfaces in a stinky poo way, and the liberal media has kind of gone, yeah, there might be a story here. There might be a problem here. If they wanted to report the news, you started with Walter Cronkite, which is who your favorite guy is, and you keep talking about showing both sides, and you keep talking about honest media, which is now becoming contradiction in terms all across the board. Okay, the fact is that right now, the Hunter Biden story is a great example of lies my media has told me. It is not about telling the truth. It's about burying the truth.
Another thing about burying the truth is all of these politicians, and I like to say how Trump used the White House with his kids to make money. But you never hear about the Clintons who left the White House with the Roosevelt China. You never, and Flatbroke. Obamas came in with a couple of $1 million that was sourced how? To being multimillionaires?
Why are they doing it? Why is the media doing it? The media continues to paint Reagan, the Bushes, and the Trumps the same way. But they will never talk about Carter, Clinton, Obama, and now Biden in the same way. CBS Sunday Morning, and I'm a shout out to those bastards for the kind of reporting that they do. But to find out what the other side loves to report on, they interviewed Joe Biden's sister. And I got to tell you, they made him sound like he is the next coming of Christ. They don't call him out.
They Catholic, that's a good thing, right?
Because that's what he's a good Catholic. He's a good guy. He's a good this. But if a conservative called themselves a good Catholic or a religious person, they would be vilified. This is what part of the hypocrisy, amongst others. Folks, we're done. We're out.
We burned it.
Out here. We're gone. And if we're back on Wednesday, it's because Facebook didn't shut us down. So we hope to see you guys on Wednesday. We look forward to catching you.